I'm Matt Holton. Little brief introduction, then I have some provided in the description below, as maybe we can talk about some things that's been going on the last few days, dealing with the devastating fires on Maui. But first of all, my name is Matt. I was born and raised in Maui in upcountry Kula. Went to Kula School, went to St. Joseph's, then to Seabury, and then finally graduated from Maui High in 1996. I ended up moving back in 2005 with my girlfriend Christina and lived in upcountry Kula, right by Morihar's store and the tennis courts for, was it 14 years till 2019, until we ended up moving out here to Volcano, Hawaii, where we have some land and we've been living off grid. But anyways, what I wanted to talk about today was, right, I have a video of a lady speaking out. There was another meeting where people voiced their frustration with the government, their response. There's a great video of a woman I have in the link below. Also, BJ Penn shared his comments. BJ Penn is a Hilo-born native. Good afternoon, Grandpa Barney. And he ran for governor, but he voiced his concerns with kind of what is happening in terms of property rights and access to property rights here in the state of Aloha. So, and then along those lines, and it's also a little bit with, unfortunate news with Eric and what happened with him. But I did look into some of the Hawaii constitutional law, and one of the things that really stood out to me that I wanted to talk a little bit about was the law of the splintered paddle. I also have a great video for anybody who's interested below of more in depth about that, but we'll talk about it a little bit because I think it pertains specifically to maybe the media blackout and that lack of information and public safety that's going on. Also, I do have some paintings. One of my favorite, yeah, that's a great name for the law. And I'll talk a little bit about the backstory of that law. I do have some things to share with you guys. But I also have some links to Herb Kane. Herb Kane is one of the legendary artists who lived here. He's not from here. I believe he's from Wisconsin. But I was always inspired by his artwork and his storytelling. Aloha there. But I did find a great painting that is on his website of that he did of Kanapali in ancient times. And it's a great depiction of what Kanapali looked like in a flourishing Hawaiian times. I also have a painting or a link to an image of a painting that he did based on that splintered paddle law. So if you want to check out those, what those things look like, they're below. And then, right, kind of the big question, I think, that is at least in some of the people on social media. I'm not on Maui yet. Christina will be going back. My parents are there. I have many friends there. But I do see the question of the question over tourism. I've been checking the daily numbers for Hawaii tourism to Maui, and I think Maui's at about 3,000 tourists a day. But I do have two videos below, and it's two completely different opinions of whether you think you should come or you want to come or you think it's a good idea. One is from a tourist who had his wife's or his daughter's wedding, and he was very positive and optimistic about all the good things that the people of Maui and how grateful they were. The other one is actually lives in Maui, and he's kind of painting a slightly different picture, more of a question of uncertainty for sure. But check out those videos if you want to have two different views of what it looks like right now and what it maybe feels like, as well as some of the welcome. And if anybody else caught it, right, Speaker McCarthy was on site in Lahaina, and he gave a 30-minute, a little over 30-minute speech about efforts, sending their prayers. It was unfortunate that we didn't see some of our own politicians standing behind him. I know he's a Republican, and I know that politics can be so divisive on everything, but when it comes to sort of these natural disasters, but he took questions from the press. I do have that video down below as well, so if you want to hear what he has to say, he, I think, had visited Lahaina many times and was very familiar with it. So, either way, it's good to have more people on the spotlight here. And also, there is a video from yesterday of a interview from Maui now with infamous now chief of police John Pelletier. So, if you whether you like him or not, it's maybe also important to hear what he's saying, at least what he's saying publicly right now. So he does add some more details. I'm not sure. There's a lot of questions um, that are still unanswered. But check it out if you want to find more. And lastly, the last video I have down there is Reiplinger, who is a comedian. He's passed away, but he has some great. It's a 49-minute video of just his acts as different characters in Hawaii. So very heartwarming. I think all of us who's familiar with what's going on and have experienced Hawaii in one way or another, which is millions of us, it's nice to have some of those fond memories and a little laughter in this time. So, right, back to what I was talking about the law of the splintered paddle. Growing up at Kula School, we had kapunas. And I remember hearing about this, and then I remember seeing Herb Connie's artwork. And now it's interesting that it resurfaces with some of the incidents that we're seeing happening on protection of individual rights. But let's see, it was enacted in 1782 before the Unified Hawaiian Islands. The law protected the weak during wartime, saving thousands of lives. The law of the Splintered Paddle. As Kamehameha grew, he was the first Kamehameha to be an aggressive young chief. He decided to attack an innocent village in Puna, Hawaii, which is on the Big Island. When his foot became caught in a lava crevice, a fisherman struck him over the head with a paddle, nearly killing him. The paddle splintered. Later, recognizing his fault in the attack of innocence, the compassionate Kamehameha proclaimed that the law of the splintered paddle, which proclaimed that all innocent people, especially the elderly and the youth, be able to sleep safely on the side of the road unharmed. The law provided for the safety of non-warriors during wartime. It became the first written law of the Kingdom of Hawaii and remains in the state constitution to this day. It's a symbol of servant leadership that elevates the importance of one, caring and serving one's people, two, standing steadfast for the principles from which leadership privilege is earned, three, knowing and doing what is right, four, taking responsibility for those you serve, and fifth, doing so with love, compassion, and respect. So that is enshrined in the Hawaii State Constitution going back to well before statehood, and a symbol of, obviously, King Kamehameha's acknowledgement that it's the people that he serves that have to be respected, and they have rights just as the Constitution says we have inalienable rights. So anyways, brings up some interesting facts about legal issues, but it's always a good idea, to take a look at the Hawaii State Constitution, the emergency proclamation that Josh Green issued. I know it can be a lot. It can be a lot of legalese, but there's some things that stand up in those public documents that are on the web, that on the government, that if anything, maybe it can spark some conversation with other people, and just making us, number one, aware of what thank you, Joe Bob, and maybe kind of what's at stake here, because we really need to make sure that we understand these words, what they mean, and what they mean in terms of holding people accountable. Everybody takes an oath to the Hawaii State Constitutions, so that oath is what is embedded in those laws and protecting and serving people. So it's unfortunate that there's going to be a lot of light being shown, I think, on what's happening, or the lack of a media blackout, basically, in the Lahaina area. I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't know when it will be challenged in the system, or how it's being challenged. I always think, hey, Colorado, who do you complain to about the DMV? It's hard to get anything fixed sometimes when there's not too many pathways to access them. But other than that, I'm talking to my parents daily. It's a roller coaster of emotions, I think, for everybody in the upcountry area. Um, there's still a volunteer station. They're still not recommending people drink water. So, in Lahaina, the water has benzene in it. So, yeah. Yeah, I heard from Eric today too. That was good. If anybody didn't see his video from, was it this morning? I don't know. We're in a hazy time period here with all this going on, but yeah, you know, he he had a very heartwarming or like very real conversation. He shared his thoughts and how much this is all affecting him, and kind of in uncharted categories while he's raised over $1 million and is really putting money in people's hands and I think doing a great job of sharing people's story. Not everybody wants to share their story, but they're done in a kind and sensitive way. And with seeing him transform into a basically journalist, it's 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 unfortunate to see him confronted with such fear and hatred, and uh, losing his job. It's amazing how one person can really make a lot of throw a wrench in the whole thing. So, aloha from Hana. Oh man, you guys, if anybody's been to Hana, whenever I had a chance, I would head out to Hana. I'd go to the Homoa. I loved everything about Hana. If you were to go to any part of Hawaii, I don't know, Hana is like very secluded. It's hard to get out to. The roads are windy, but it is a little piece of heaven there, and I just loved pretty much every time I got to spend in Hana. So yeah, aloha from all of you guys out there. Where are some of you guys from, or how many of you guys have been to Maui or spent time in Lahaina, or been to the banyan tree? I'm interested to see how many people have memories of that place. I've had countless memories from climbing the banyan tree. Um, yeah, John M. Thanks for sharing that. But I loved running around that place. I loved leaving that harbor and going on boats to Lanai with, I don't know how many times I took that boat to Lanai, back and forth, and seeing the view of the harbor from the boat, and that's just a gorgeous spot, and running through there through the Maui Marathon. It's like it's the old city that you get to go to right before the finish at Kanapali. So how much of the mountain behind Lahaina is accessible? Most of that land is on private land. Getting way up into the mountains is very difficult. However, there are people who hiked over the mountain into Iao Valley. I've known a few of them. That is sometimes a 2-day hike, and only for very experienced people. People get lost in Iao Valley, which is on the other side, which is gorgeous. But there's a short hike that you can do there. Other than that, if you go up to Poli Poli on the other side of the mountain, there's some great hiking up there. National Park is gorgeous. But the area above Lahaina is, I don't know. Oh, former surfer from Southern California, never made it to Hawaii. Yeah, it can be dangerous, and it's unfortunate. I don't think it puts a very good light on Eric's boss. All of a sudden, the whole internet now knows of a somewhat uncompassionate boss, or I'm not sure. So you were born in Lahaina, Luna, 1965. Wow, that is amazing, right? To some of you, the Lahaina Luna is a boarding school that it sits above where our main fires were. It's some of the highest parts of Lahaina town, And oh, thank you, Agent Orton. Has anybody yes, sorry to stop that story, but about the FEMA, yes, my parents received a FEMA check. They were able to do their paperwork early. They had very little damage, but there are people getting their FEMA checks there that I do know. So, it's a matter of, did you do the paperwork and did you do it early? I'm sure there's people who are still in the trauma and not able to do some of these things. How is the fishing around the islands? You know, off Lahaina, I don't know, but there is fishing reserves throughout the islands, and there's some great fishing. Huge marlins are caught there. Um, uh, Tuna, there's huge tuna. There's a great fishing all around the islands. There's people who just do pole fishing off of land and off deep valleys, or I mean gulches. So there's people out here who do it with just a kayak and are often catching bags of fish. So how's it scuba diving? You know, some very great spots. Molokini is a reserve, but I'm not sure it is as good as what I've heard of other places in terms of the coral reefs. I've seen them degrade over my lifetime in the Kihei area. Um, Bad fires in Louisiana. King family on Front Street. Wow. So that's just right in the heart of Lahaina. So you know, it's so sad to see it just in ashes, and yeah, to have some of those memories there that I don't know. It's what is some of the most beautiful sunsets in Lahaina, sunrise. You know, great little surfing spot out there. I don't know. It was an enchanting spot that I had memories throughout my whole life. My dad is now a retired pastry chef, and he worked out at Kapalua. So usually on the weekends we would drive out past Lahaina and go meet him in Kapalua, and drive back home to Kula, which was like an hour and a half each way. But saw that place change over my lifetime. Um, sugarcane fields used to surround the Lahaina area. What was it, 20, I don't know, 18 or 17, the last of the sugarcane was processed. The land has just gotten more and more arid without these issues of land and water management that have just sort of plagued leadership in the community ongoing. Yeah, we need to rain dance. Does Maui ever feel earthquakes? You know, the old Lahaina luau did not burn. Um, Leia, that is awful to hear. I'm so sorry. Um, Back to earthquakes. We live in Volcano, and we live next to Kilauea, which is one of the most active volcanoes in the world. So we often have earthquakes here, and because we're on a plate that's shifting over a hot spot, there's often earthquakes. We had a 6.0 not too long ago. The East Rift Zone here has produced, I think, almost an 8.0, which has caused tsunamis and has taken out cities, and that's why we had built great warning systems, is because of the damage from tsunamis, from earthquakes from all around the area. So, but yeah, Maui does experience earthquakes. Yeah, Hana can see. I know. We're on the up in Volcano, but whenever we go to the Kona side, we can see the Halakala, the backside Kaupo, um, Ukulele Festival. Yeah, thank you, Grandpa Barty. I think um, everybody needs that right now. And oh, you stayed at the plantation in the last visit. For some of you who are not familiar, maybe look it up. But Plantation Inn was an iconic historic building in Lahaina. It kind of made you feel like a whaler almost. So, but one of the things I'm trying to do is just share my thoughts here. Just try to keep the story out there, and updates, and as well as try to provide some people with. Maybe I could talk a little louder. How's that? I know I need to get better gear here for better quality. microphone. We have Starlink, but we still have to set it up because I still have to finish our roof. So yeah, Lahaina gave me a lot of memories. I didn't live there, but I had friends who lived there. One of my favorite memories was staying in a tree house right across from the Cannery Mall, and my friend C. Thomas, his dad was helped repair ships, and so he had a little base yard there. I'm not sure if he still does, but we would some often camp over the night above Lahaina in this giant mango tree, and it was wake up early in the morning, go play out in the surf if there was surf, go to the cannery, have some, French toast at Burger King or something ridiculous. But and then many of birthdays I spent in Kanapali. Either I had a couple birthdays we spent in the hotels there, jumping off Black Rock. I don't know. I've Front Street Mile. It's I don't know. I spent a lot of time in Lahaina, and yeah. There's a lot of what's Maui no Oi, right? Maui's number one, and that's a theme that people hear and feel. And if anybody wants to get even more feel of what's going on there, KPOA Radio, which be sure to add that into the link below once I'm off this stream. But they have some great music. Joe Bo bringing up another elephant in the closet, of course, right? And The Rock, um, millionaire, billionaire, asking for us to give them money for a fund. Kind of, I think it seems like on social media that really has backfired for them. And, Oprah owns a huge amount of land on Maui, and she has for a while. The Rock has ties to Hawaii. It's so they're influencers, um, and so it's great to have some of that attention. But the way they're doing it, sometimes it almost would be better to um, be anonymous and just give money. Oh, that's another thing that I have in the description of video. It's from 4 days ago, but it's about these 60 foldable, collapsible, temporary housing that is being that is already on Maui, and it's probably being set up already. So I think my sister was saying that there was something by King Cathedral's Church, but there's a short video explaining these things. If this is just temporary housing, the fact that they're already moving on it, and they're, I think it was 13 days out, they already had them delivered. It's just a small amount, and it's only temporary, but these solutions do exist. So learning about those houses, I built our own house. It's a compact, tiny home, 450 square feet. We've seen neighbors here put up homes that are very nice and small and compact in days, a week. Initially we looked at yurts. Yeah, and some of these tiny homes you can put together and have a larger floor plans up to like 800, 1,000 square feet. So it's something that I think is going to be part of the temporary solution, and is at least we're seeing some movement on the ground. So that's a real, yurts are cool. Yeah, that was our first plan when we moved out here, is to get a yurt, and we were pretty committed on getting a yurt. We ended up living in an RV, and then I just decided to design a home and build it here, an off-grid small home for Christina and I, and our kitty cat and all my artwork. So living out in the Big Island, we live off-grid. We catch our own water. We're on solar. We try to have a small footprint. We try to grow as much as we can here. First thing we did was put in citrus trees. I kind of learned that from my parents and their property. So having circular homes makes sense in the wind. That may or may not be true. I'm not sure. Hawaii has a history. We have a hurricane season here. Yeah, pods from Hungary. No, yurts are for multiple. There's actually many people in Volcano who have yurts. There's actually out in the highway. There's a yurt place where you can order your yurts. So, um, and I think I forget the prices. I don't, they might have changed, but it was 600 feet for if just a yurt was like 20,000. But I think if you had everything built, platform, plumbing, the prices can rise into the 60,000. But I think we ended up spending 40,000 for our house, maybe, but I built it all with just my hands. So I live in Maui. Yeah, Maui's beautiful, but I do recommend watching those two videos about one person living here and the other person who visited here. Two completely different views of this very, difficult decision and question of like, do I need to come? But I do have a little more information that I had pulled up here to give some of you a sense of what we're talking about, right? Maui has is three islands, right? The county of Maui represents Lanai, Molokai, and majority of the population is on Maui. Last I checked, I believe it's about 140,000 residents on Maui. But during a peak season, like right before these fires, at any given time, there's about 70,000 visitors on the island. So usually in the summer, there's about 8,000 people coming into Maui daily, staying for a different amount of time. And right, the initial signaling was "Hey, nobody come to the islands, and oh my God, Grandpa, yeah, you know what? I think that's what we're gonna do is when Christina goes, um, to do something with any of this extra money coming in to do anything nice. We're already like pulling free books here from the library to give to kids that we know who lost their homes, and that can definitely go to, you know, we can make that into a smile someplace, right? More smiles. So yeah, Erica, it's live and giving away 100K. So I might want to get and see some of that. I might wait, but yeah, it sounds like he's deciding to give 50 to $100,000 chunks away, and you know, we need everybody to do that. And it's like we don't all have money, but it's great to see the people who can help out. And I have some other videos. I have a video on Jesse Joseph's, who's in Kula, and their family, his wife and their 2-year-old lost their home, and it's I have his Venmo account there, and if anybody wants to give directly to him, as I said before, Christina will be going back on the 11th, and she'll be staying at my parents in upcountry, and we hope to get interviews for maybe some more business owners, as well as I have a friend who lost part of his farm there. Ope, one of my high school buddies, lost large acreage and structures from the Kula fire, and I'd love to hear his words, as well as I'd like to get maybe a little more from my parents. I'd love to share their stories as they had to evacuate the night of the fire, had to sleep in their car. Um, um, yes, thank you. I'm glad there's a good response to this, and it makes me want to keep doing this and sharing these stories, as well as information. And well, as difficult as all this is, trying to be upbeat and positive about some of the things that we can either educate ourselves about, but it's going to be a long battle here. And but oh yeah, back to what I was saying before, right? So half of the population of Maui is so there's 140,000 plus 70,000 usually every day on Maui, and those numbers just fell off to almost below 2,000 a day from 8,000, and now it's upticked to about 3,000. So it looks like there is a little more people coming back. But when we're talking about the money involved in this, some of the numbers are staggering. It's like 500 million a month coming into this Maui from tourism. So, here we are approaching close to a month at tourism operating at like, I don't know what percent. And the whole west side is not operating at all, it looks like. So that just leaves Kihei, Wailea, Wailuku, Upcountry, Hana. Um, but if we're seeing a loss of hundreds of millions of dollars coming into the island of Maui, and that's just right now. So the numbers, the economic impact, not just of what was destroyed, let alone the pain and agony of what everybody is experiencing, is this no money flowing through the economy right now. So the layoffs, people are the news that I've seen on YouTube, people are getting notice that it's going to look pretty bleak till December at the very least. Um, how does one grieve? That's an individual process. Sometimes I spent a lot of time just shedding tears hearing people's stories, and then having other people grieve, talk to you. um, hey, Fly Girl, good afternoon. Yeah, what is it? It's almost 1:30 here in Hawaii, so another beautiful day here up in Volcano. But yeah, the keeping an eye on those numbers. It's Hawaii has a good pulse on the daily visitors and the spending amount. Tourism just really makes a lot, if not, what is it, Maui's probably 80% tourism. And so what kind of relief needs to be given. I'm not sure yet. I don't know if I saw his most recent one. I saw his one from this morning. But boy, I guess all our hearts go out to him, and the emotional toll that this is all taking on him as he's doing the best, I think, to bring awareness and share people's story, and really raising some impressive funds for people. So if you haven't seen Eric's video, I do I highly recommend anybody who hasn't watched it. If you go back, he has the last 3 weeks already. It's amazing, 3 weeks of video. Yeah, his last one was his comeback video. That's what it looked like. So, but we need him right now, and we need anybody, because it seems like that pushback for a sort of a blanket, you know, the citation he got. There's nothing in the proclamation that states anything of what those people were alleging. So, um, yeah, he's now in the spotlight for sure. And for better or worse, it's mostly good I've seen him do. So, um, I hope people just rally around him and support him, and let him know that we need him. So I never watch TV. I think the last time I had a TV was, I don't know. It's like and you know that, like, people younger than us, all the media is just from social media and all these other sources. So it's like the only time I think I watch the news is when I go on vacation or go to the Honolulu Marathon, and I just zone out and watch TV for a while. But yeah, he needs to take a break. I think so. Even for me, it's been such an just spending time on Maui, and that was just in Kula. Whew, it was like it hit me once I left. I kept a pretty good face. I did volunteer working. I got to see a lot of, you know, I didn't bring my phone there just to stay out of touch, and I stayed at my parents'. I got to see, I don't know, 40, 50 people that I've known my whole life, uh, at different spots. I went to the community meeting. I helped at the volunteer station. It was, and then once I saw the rent a cars, it really hit me then of like, oh my God, this is a ghost town. My parents live up country in like a rural area, so you know there's a lot of tourists to go see the sunrise, but it's not a hot spot of tourism. Um, and it was people just cleaning up and volunteering, but the airport and just seeing nobody there. Um, and I asked people there. I asked the lady at the checkout. I said, I'm sure she was there. I asked her, have you seen all those cars? And all the things she told me was, it's scary, you know. And then I asked the people working in the store up at the airport, how are you guys doing? And they're like, we're just hanging in, but there was nobody in the store. So there was people in the airport. There's a lot of FEMA workers leaving, but and then there were some locals coming back to the Big Island. A lot of family coming back and forth in support, and but the I don't know how this is going to play out, but I think it's important that we just all pay attention and maybe you know share what we can with people that the people of Lahaina are struggling. They need help. They need guidance. They need hugs. They need money. They need everything. They need your prayers. They need your thoughts. They just the families there are hurting, and the whole island is now hurting, and um, in, I just, there's no clear answer. Leadership needs to stick their neck out or something. Red Cross funded by Ellison, who owns Lanai. Yeah, Larry Ellison has owned Lanai, but he wasn't the first Baron, right? If we go back a little bit, we can see the major landowners since the plantation days have really shaped the landscape here, and then it's been handed over to the new elites of wealth, the wealth that's created from, right, what is it, media and from software, and I talked about in my last video. For some of you who aren't aware, there's a number of Jeff Bezos, Oprah, and Larry Ellison all live in Maui County, and all have gigantic estates. So yeah, and you know what? On a personal note and a positive note, right? I I grew up in Maui, and I knew people of all sort of economic status. My parents were working middle class, I've had friends in all ranges, and I always had preconceived. All of us have preconceived notions. Um, are you in Mail? Am I in Maui? I think maybe you're asking, Leo. No, I'm in Volcano, Hawaii. I was just born and raised in Maui. My parents lived there. I know they should be putting up their mansion. They should have like put up all the little homes in Oprah's place. It's a beautiful spot. Interesting question there. To talk about what I was talking about, which is, the kids, the DOE. DOE has had, you know, kids don't want to pass Lahaina, and their parents don't want them to pass Lahaina, just because they've experienced trauma. So they're trying to set up something on the west side, so that. But there's a large number of kids who are currently not enrolled. I don't know the current numbers. The last numbers were something like 2,000. So Fullerton Informer. I haven't watched him, but I did watch someone else who did analysis of what was happening with Eric that was really good. And yesterday, and I had that in the video description below. But yeah, there's quite a bit of content out there. Yeah, yeah, the Burning Man issue. Um, yeah, wild world. It's like what's next, basically. It's like we got our seatbelts are already on, and it's like um, Bentley 44. Yeah, I would, if I was a tourist, I would have legitimate concerns about safety, information. It's they already pushed 2.6 million for tourism for advertising, so they need to make sure they have a clean house, right? I said that yesterday. You better to clean your house before you clean somebody else's house. So, um, did you take shovel to a volcano? I'm not sure exactly what you're saying there, but I thank you guys all for your thoughts. I hope that the information I provide is useful. Um, it seems like at least some of the content I did yesterday got to some people. Um, yeah, but and I hope some of you can just share these conversations and the concerns, and learn a little more about the splintered paddle law, or right, all these things that I was talking about. There's videos below so that you guys can check it out and share it and enjoy it. The interview about the splintered paddle law, old video, only like 2.9K, but really important, I think, in what we're dealing with. I saw there was a question there about mental health. I think there is mental health being provided. There's a lot of pop-up health things, mobile health. Um, how well are they trained? How many do they have? Will they be ready to deal with like this huge amount of people in barely holding on to hope? I don't know. They need to think outside the box for sure. Maybe they need to have some free movie nights someplace, or some just free community events. They need to have things where the officers are cooking pancakes for the homeless. I think they need to really think outside of how they can rebuild trust, because I think that's obviously missing right now. Yeah, it's unfortunate that we live in an age where things just move so quickly. So stories get lost. We forget about how these things all affect us, and they happen to um, people just like you and me. And human history is nothing but us sharing stories. So. Um, Talking is a great release for trauma. I think so, and I think that's part of the process that I'm doing here, talking to some of you friends out there in the YouTube world. Is can I just express myself and my concerns, and share some of the things that I think are interesting about the story. No, I'm not single. My girlfriend Christina has a YouTube channel, and she runs a channel for the Volcano Art Center Gallery as well. So. Um, but yeah, please enjoy some of those links that I provided below, and share them, educate, um, and it seems like this lovely place, Maui, this beautiful place, Lahaina, being just completely destroyed with hundreds of people missing or dead, is just it's bringing such a spotlight to Maui, but it needs that spotlight to continue, so that all these stories of these people can, we're all just people. So yeah, the aloha spirit, that's something that makes Hawaii unique, being so isolated. The most isolated islands in the world is that we have the sense of aloha, and it kind of permeates into everything we do. And I think that feeling, or its spiritual connection, that resonates with people who come here for their honeymoons, or people who have generations of history on the islands. Is there's a warmth and a compassion for the others, and for the land here, that we're directly connected to the land. We're directly connected to the water. It's a very spiritual place with many myths and legends. I live here where the myth of Pele, who is a fire goddess, she sleeps, she awakes, she gets angry. There's a lot of forms of Pele, and let's see. I'll take a few more of your questions here. I lived up in upcountry Maui in the 80s. Yeah, the Aina Bra. Hey there. Yeah, thanks, T. Jordan. Um, the Aina, right? That's the concept of land. That's the concept of right before Hawaii was annexed, was 1847. Before that, there was no property rights, and there was just wedges of land, like a piece of pie, and that pie usually had a water source or a stream. So, and then you just would give the king your some of your bounty from that area. But so taking water from a stream meant that you also had to return the water to the stream. So there was a direct connection of life with the land here, and there always has been. So, um, no, we don't have a bank account in Portugal, but oddly enough, my family on my mom's side is all from Portugal, from the Azores, the Madeira, Freitas and Madeiras is from the Azores, the archipelagos way off Portugal, and were came out to Hawaii part of labor treaties that King Kalakaua had with Portugal to bring whole families from those areas to Maui or to the Hawaiian Islands to work in the plantations. So they were part of this 12,000 Portuguese, but it was tens of thousands of immigrants that King Kalakaua had um, made treaties with people all over the world because there was a labor shortage here in Hawaii. You know, in part because many of the Hawaiians had died from disease introduced from the early missionaries. So early Hawaii, the populations, they don't know exactly, but I've anywhere between 800,000 and almost over a million Hawaiians were living here before contact with Captain Cook and European contact. And then that number dropped down to like 70 to 80. So it was like 90% of the Hawaiians were decimated by the initial contact and not having any protection from the measles and everything else that the um, intentionally, I don't know, that was brought through with the Europeans. So my family is part of that effort. My great grandparents, of that effort to fill in the labor that was needed to work on the plantations. So they had I think, 3-year contract in the early 1900s, and then were able to establish their family and build generational wealth like so many of people in Lahaina. A lot of those people who lived in the older homes there, that's just generational wealth of people from plantation era who had enough money to buy land and live the dream of having land in Hawaii in a beautiful spot and giving that land to their next of kin in Hawaii. There are many people who have many generations that live under the same house. You know, ohana is a big word, and it reaches out to beyond family, but there's multi-generational families in many homes here, and that was the case in parts of Lahaina as well. So yeah, Leia. The greenery is not bad, Koga Koga. Hmm. But, you know, Christina will be getting back to Maui, as I said, and then we're going to be visiting with my parents, you know, when we can. Um, and helping some families directly affected in their neighborhood. They have a sweet family of 4 that their home just burnt to the ground, and they luckily have had another house where they've been able to relocate to. Yeah, Matt Holton. And you know, along those lines, if anybody wants to see a little bit about what Maui looks like, you know, in my YouTube library, I have probably over 1,000 videos, drone footage. If you want to see Jaws, if you want to, you know, I have some video of Maui Marathon. I have a little bit of everything. You know, I documented a lot of my time there and practiced storytelling while I was on Maui and started to build my YouTube channel there, filming windsurfers and guys gutting into Jaws. But you can see through some of my work and some of the places I go and I share in some of these videos of how connected I feel to Maui. And it's a great way to, you know, some backcountry up in the mountains, you know, hiking, beaches, surfing, everything that I loved about Maui. Restaurants, you know, my favorite place to get donuts, you know, Komoda Bakery. Um, those videos are all there for you guys to share and see what Maui looks like and try to get a picture of what it, you know, what it looked like from someone who was born and raised there and just you know, now that I live on the Big Island, I miss it. I miss my family. My sister and my brother-in-law moved here not too long ago, so I have some family that moved up here. So, but my parents got married in Volcano, and my dad was stationed in KMC, so we had strong ties to this part of the area. And Maui, unfortunately, was getting too expensive for me and my girlfriend. The average home in Maui is $1 million. So, um, you know, rentals ridiculous. You know, we live simple lives. I'm an artist. Um, yeah, Susan. Yes, yeah, Lahaina. There's so much frustration right now of what's going on there. Well, you're an artist. That's great. Um, Housing was a crisis before this, so um, they, if they're going to start rebuilding, I think one of the concerns is they got to make sure that the people who lost their homes or some of the, they need to, if anything, they can get those people that have jobs who lost their jobs. And, it's going to be the people from the hotel industry and the restaurant industry. Um, Puna butter. Yes, that does mean something to me. Yeah, I'm familiar with Puna butter. So Maui's gone, sadly. Maui is not gone yet. Maui's not looking good. Maui's not looking good at all. Maui needs some serious healing time, but Maui's not gone. But I thank you guys all for tuning in. Um, I'm glad to take some of these questions. I'm sorry I can't take all of them. Um, Laugh and cry together. Yeah, you know that Reiplinger video I have at the bottom of the list there. Anyone who has lived in Hawaii knows the different personalities of people in Hawaii. It is he was a comical genius, So watch Reiplinger. He'll warm you up and make you cry as well. So thank you for sharing your recovery. Yeah, thank you for hearing my recovery. And it's hard to do this every day. Actually, I didn't think it would be, but I'll do my best to try to keep you guys updated and take a break from here and there, but keep the conversation going. So where to transfer money to help with needs, right? Um, I'm doing fundraisers with the Maui Food Bank and the Maui Humane Society, and I'm reaching out right now. There are some other families that have Venmo accounts that Eric has stories of. So if you want to help out people specifically in Lahaina, I would definitely go check out some of Eric's um, stories that he shares with residents who have lost things there. And those are people that he has their Venmo account, and it's a great way to hear someone's story and then know where that money's going. And but I would recommend that. A lot of people are telling me that's one of the best ways to help is either with an organization that you're familiar with, like personally, or been on the ground with. I'm familiar with the Maui Humane Society and the Maui Food Bank. Um, Other than that, it's giving people money directly, and there's lots of stories out there. So even if you do some research, um, yeah, um, listen to some people's stories, especially people from Lahaina. There's hundreds of them. Eric is doing a great job of sharing them and providing that information of how you can help. So as we or Christina goes back, we'll try to do the same. So, but without too many else, I'm gonna get back to doing some other work here. But it's been great hearing from all you guys, um, and you know I see some people questioning, yeah, some of the organizations. Yeah, there's
don't have to look too far to see corruption in some giant organizations everywhere. Um, Thank you, Lucy. Yeah, watch some of those videos. I have a library of just things that I love. Kai Lenny, got to see him surf, kite surf. Spent a lot of time at Jaws and went to Kenya, spent a month in Kenya and filmed runners in Kenya. So I've been trying to work on my storytelling, since I've been on YouTube and my videography skills. So but please, right, check out those videos again, and I'll see you guys on the out here in the cyber world and the internets. Out from the middle of the rainforest here in Volcano, Hawaii, where I'll just be sharing my perspectives as someone born and raised on Maui, and as was affected by this horrific event that still is continuing and still needs to be told. So, um, thank you guys. Aloha.